Hello! Welcome to this week's Private Funds Update. I'm Sandra from SmartEsq, and today is Thursday, August 20th, 2026 to 6. Let's dive in. We begin with big news for investment advisors with public pension investors. The SEC has submitted proposed amendments to its long-standing pay-to-play rule to the White House Office of Management and Budget for review. Under the current framework, advisors face strict liability if a covered associate donates even a small amount above de minimis thresholds $150 or $350 to an official who can influence pension manager selection. The advisor is barred for 2 full years from collecting advisory fees from that government entity. The SEC proposed amendments aim to relieve these heavy compliance burdens. While full-text details remain under interagency review, the proposal seeks to soften the strict liability framework, targeting rigid look-back rules that capture past contributions of new hires, low de minimis donation caps, and limited cure mechanisms that currently penalize entire firms for minor, inadvertent employee contributions. While submission signals a potential commission vote later this year, advisors should note that strict liability remains fully in effect through the 2026 to 6 midterms until a formal rule is voted on and finalized. Moving to national security and cross-border M&A, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS, has released its annual report covering 2026 to 5 transaction data. Overall, filings rose 7% to 347 transactions, driven primarily by short-form declarations. As a refresher, a short-form declaration is an abbreviated 5-page filing designed to offer a streamlined, fast-track 30-day assessment, compared to a traditional long-form notice which requires extensive disclosures and a 45-day review period. However, as legal commentators highlight, opting for a short-form declaration carried higher risk last year. Declaration clearance rates fell sharply from 78% down to 66%, with CFIUS requesting full, formal notices in over a quarter of declaration cases. For dealmakers, the message is clear. While short-form declarations offer a faster path for simple transactions, complex deals involving critical technologies, infrastructure, or foreign adversary ties are increasingly being pushed into full notice reviews. Finally, in fund litigation, the Delaware Superior Court and New York State Supreme Court have handed major victories to mutual fund complexes, dismissing nearly identical lawsuits against First Eagle and J.P. Morgan with prejudice. The plaintiffs put forward an unusual theory under Sections 11 and 12 of the Securities Act of 1933. They alleged that registration statements were misleading because funds temporarily held realized gains as assets rather than liabilities prior to distribution dates, which allegedly artificially inflated net asset values. Both courts rejected the theory at the motion to dismiss stage. The courts held that the funds followed standard GAAP accounting, fully disclosed their practices, and that simply labeling a GAAP-compliant accounting impact as artificial does not create legal liability under federal securities laws. That concludes this week's briefing. For a deeper analysis on how these changes affect your compliance programs and deal structuring, please review our newsletter and visit smartesc.ai.